A CV stands for Curriculum Vitae and is defined as an itemized list of a person's education, publications, accomplishments, notable projects, awards, honors, achievements, and professional experiences. And the aim of a CV is to condense all that information down onto two or one side of A4 paper. It tries to give the employer a quick overview of you as a person and whether or not they should hire you. So essentially, it's a way of selling yourself as best you can and saying how amazing you are. And in this video, I'm going to tell you exactly why a CV is pretty much useless. Hi, my name's Abdul and I'm a fully qualified BMS working for the NHS in cellular pathology. Back in 2019, I was getting close to finishing my degree and I had to think of jobs to apply for. So I was looking to get into any grad scheme that was listed on websites such as GradCracker and Bright Networks, I think it was called. And I had to go through the online process, filling in the details and attaching my CV and covering letter. Now, at this point, I didn't really have any work experience in anything, and all I had was my grades from school and my degree. So I tried really hard on trying to make my limited experience sound really good. I just had to exaggerate it basically. I spent hours picking the right CV format, looking it up online, the right font and its size, trying to make every sentence sound good and making the page look nice with bold text, underlined headers and everything. And I'll tell you now, it was pretty much a waste of time. Well, maybe not a complete waste of time because I managed to learn from it and I can pass that knowledge on to you. The reason I say it was a waste of time was because it didn't really help me get any jobs and I just kept getting rejected. And the problem was never how good my CV was written or looked. And since I learned that that didn't really matter, I haven't had to write a CV since 2019, and I don't think I will have to ever again. In this video, I'll share with you exactly why I don't have to and how you can get to that point as well. My first piece of advice is to enter your desired career at the lowest position you can. For example, in my case, I started my career as a Band 2 receptionist in a histology cut-up lab. I somehow managed to secure my position without knowing anything about histology, and I think I got quite lucky because nowadays there's a lot of competition. I've seen people with master's degrees and doctorate degrees apply for these posts and be unsuccessful in interview. On paper, they looked good, but they lacked the knowledge required to be successful. So even at the lowest position, you won't be able to walk into it. And I'm planning on making videos on how to get into these positions later on and progress in your career as a BMS. So make sure to subscribe and follow me on other socials if that interests you. Now, the reason why I recommend you start at a lower position is because A, it's easier to get into, B, you get to learn exactly what biomedical scientists do, C, you can start building your network of people who can give you advice on how to progress into a BMS role, and D, you have much less responsibility, therefore less pressure, so you can learn comfortably. The only downside to taking a lower position is that you'll get paid less. Other than that, it's a great way to start your career journey. When you get into these positions, you have access to all the documentation such as SOPs, lab instructions, and quality improvement plans that you can learn from whilst you're there, which will significantly increase your chances of securing a BMS position as soon as one becomes available. 9 times out of 10, the lab manager will hire internal candidates for BMS roles because the internal candidate already knows the working process of the lab and they don't have to go through the whole induction process again, which managers hate doing. And if they like you, they will invest in you because you've already invested your time with them at the lower position. This brings me on to my next point. Once you secure your position, you can't just stay there. You have to be more proactive in your learning and you have to show your passion, especially to the lab manager, and express how interested you are. And don't be shy to talk to the more senior biomedical scientists and become a friendly and familiar face to everyone in the environment. This will significantly increase your chances of getting that Band 5 BMS position straight from a Band 2 or a 3. This is the essence of building your network. Just be likable and show your interest. The senior BMS staff will give you advice and useful tips on what you require to become a BMS, and they'll let you know what documents are relevant and which ones you should read. They might even let you perform some of the tasks. They will literally train you for free, but In order to do this, you have to show them that investing in you is worth it. My next piece of advice is to learn high value skills. Now, what do I mean by this? A high value skill is a technique that you can learn or develop that employers are ready to pay a lot for or make them more likely to hire you. For example, in histology, if you say you can cut more than 40 blocks an hour, I can guarantee you'll get a job in a histology lab anywhere pretty easily. And you don't need a good CV for that. Getting trained in this skill is so valuable that if you can learn this as a band 2 or 3, then it will immensely benefit your chances of securing a higher position. And once you're in those higher positions, you get to learn more high value skills. Then the CV at that point just becomes a formality. It doesn't really have a bearing on whether you get the job or not. That's the secret. To build those skills in the right areas that are in high demand, the example I used was microtomy, and use that as your selling point to applications for jobs that you want to do, such as becoming a biomedical scientist. Now, joining in at a lower position, such as a band 2, it is more difficult to get trained in those higher value areas because they just don't need you to do that. But you can make that easier. For example, there are lab instructions that you can read, SOPs that you can read, and they're all written in fairly good detail on how to do those high value skills that you need to become a BMS. And I can't stress this enough, ask questions. Ask questions to those senior BMSs on anything that you don't understand. That again shows how interested you are, and really learn about the task, that high value skill that you need. Ask questions regarding health and safety aspects of the task, the actual technique, and quality indicators. You can offer to stay after work or learn a bit during your lunch break. Invest your time into building these high value skills, and eventually it will pay off. If they see that you're working hard towards it, they will invest in you. Now, the high value skills will be dependent on the area you want to specialize in. For example, the skills you need for microbiology will be different from the skills you need in blood sciences. But the good thing about being a biomedical scientist, a registered one, you have the freedom to go into any speciality you want to. So even if you completed your registration at a cellular pathology lab, you can move into blood sciences or microbiology. They are way more likely to take on a registered BMS in a different speciality over someone who hasn't been registered that they have to train up. And labs generally don't want to train candidates up. They want them to already be able to do the job, or at least have the knowledge that they need for the job. And so learning a high value skill becomes a positive feedback loop. When you start low and you build those high value skills, you get more access to those higher paying jobs. Therefore, at that point, no one really cares about how well your CV is written. Eventually, you'll get to a point where people start offering you jobs. This leads me on to my next point, networking. I would highly encourage you to create a LinkedIn profile and connect with as many people / companies as you can in the field that you want to work in. Message them and show your interest, and ask them questions about how they got to where they were and if they had any resources that they can share with you. I won't lie to you, most of them probably won't reply, but it is definitely worth a try because you never know. There might be someone that will give you amazing tips and even might be able to let you know about job opportunities and how to build your application for them. You can ask about what sort of high value skills that is important to get into that role. Another way is to go to events, particularly the ones held by the IBMS, and meet people there and build your network that way. I know some people who have gotten jobs from those events. And in the BMS world, people are familiar with each other. So the more you put your name forward and show your face, the more likely that people in higher positions will keep you in mind. Now, the downside is you do have to pay for these events, but think about it more as an investment to your future and make sure to make it worth your while. So speak to as many people as you can and take their advice. I promise you this will be very beneficial. Now, I mentioned that people have gotten jobs like this. They didn't even care about looking at a CV at that point. Again, it was more of just a formality. And there aren't enough biomedical scientists going around at the moment. So right now is a great time to start getting into the profession. There are plans on making more jobs available, and I suspect the demand for them to increase a lot in the next 5 years. So get your foot in the door now, get in those lower positions, be a friendly and familiar face, really express your interest in becoming a BMS to your seniors, especially the lab manager. And don't be shy to ask questions. Build those high value skills whilst you're there and really learn about it. Network with people in the positions you want to be in by messaging them on LinkedIn or meeting them at events. So that's it. If you follow those steps, your chances of becoming successful in becoming a BMS are dramatically increased. And that should be your focus rather than spending a lot of time perfecting your CV. And I strongly believe that CVs don't hold as much value as people say they do, and why I haven't had to write one for years. I hope this video has helped you. If it has, then leave a like. And as always, if you have any questions, feel free to leave them in the comment section and subscribe for more videos like this. Take care.